everybody, and I am so happy to be here today and making this cooking episode for Gavino's. You know, it really excites me every time someone invites me, especially when it comes to cooking. I'm Charisse Tinio, by the way. I'm the CEO, owner of Nice Print Photo, and you know, days would be very, very busy for me, especially during wedding season. But everybody who's close to me, they know that my greatest passion and what I do pag wala pong trabaho is you will only see me in the kitchen. I'm always cooking up something and creating something for my kids, my husband. It's really my love language. I remember parang it started when I was about, I think, 7 years old or 8. I got it from my yaya, who's still with me right now, no? My mama Sean. She was my yaya and she was the cook, the designated cook in our home in Navotas. And so, dahil clingy po ako sa aking yaya, I'm always beside her. So, natuto po akong magluto. You know, the kitchen to the palengke, I would always be with her. Years later, I met my husband, Jibby. And I know that, you know, Jib, napakasarap niyang kumain. He's half Ilonggo and half Kapampangan. You know, I really took it to heart to be able to feed him and my kids really, really delicious food. I also got it from my mother-in-law, the mom of Jibby, who's Mama Ana, who's a very great cook as well, and who has inspired me over the years to be a better cook myself. So, for today, we're gonna make something really, really yummy. It's an Italian dish. It's called risotto. And for today, I'm gonna use mushrooms for our risotto. You know, this dish is very, very special for me. Nakita niyo po yung book ko, which is used and abused. Talagang sobrang dami na niyang mancha. Because, you know, I've had this for like, I think 10 years, and it was a gift from my sister and my brother-in-law. My sister Chi is married to an Italian whose name is Ale, and Ale, every time I would visit them in their home in the US, would always make this super sarap na mushroom risotto, which has always been my favorite, and he was gracious enough to teach me the recipe and gave me this book. So, I'm gonna follow the recipe here. I've made a bit of twist here and there, pero basically, lahat po ng kailangang gamitin or matutunan sa pagluto ng magasarap na risotto, I learned from this book and from my Italian brother-in-law. So, to start, ang risotto po, the very, very main ingredient that you need to use for, you know, to make a really good risotto is the rice. It's called arborio. So, this is arborio rice. It's a bit rounded, no, than the usual. Hindi siya long grain. But this one has a variation because this rice, meron na siyang dried mushrooms. So, magiging sobrang iba yung flavor ng risotto na to because I'm gonna make use fresh mushrooms and dried mushrooms combined. Okay, so this is the casing of the arborio. Usually, you can buy this from mga Italian deli or Italian groceries, no? And the rest of my ingredients, in-online shopping ko lang po yan from Gavino's. Again, sobrang dali ng buhay when I learned about Gavino's. Their prices are very competitive, very reasonable, and their service is excellent. Usually, in-order ko yan the day before or 2 days before kung ano yung feel kong lutuin, and then bago pa ako magising, the delivery is already here. So, it makes it really, really convenient. So, thank you, Gavino's. To make authentic risotto, you need the arborio rice. Of course, we need chopped onions. This is chopped parsley, which we're gonna use as garnish na lang, no, at the very end. I need butter. This is about 2 to 3 tablespoons butter. We need Parmesan cheese, some pepper, salt. I always use rock salt. Mas natatansya ko yung flavor if I use rock salt compared to iodized. But of course, that's your preference. But I use rock salt, white wine, and then the mushrooms, of course. This is sobrang crucial. I use only this kind of cheese because it's really what's needed to make your risotto creamy and thick and flavorful. Nothing compares using this kind of cheese. or cream, heavy cream. And then, of course, olive oil. It's always needed for Italian dishes. And lastly, I already have this. This is the broth that I'm gonna use to cook my rice. Okay, game na. Okay, so let's start. The first thing we're gonna do, it's called the condimenti. What's condimenti, no? Siya yung main ingredient na gagamitin mo for the risotto. For this version, it's gonna be the mushrooms. Sometimes people use fish or tomatoes, but the condimenti for today is the mushrooms. Okay, so we start with the butter. So I'm using unsalted butter, no? From Gavino's, of course. Okay, so I'm gonna put the mushrooms na. Okay. So I'm gonna put a bit of salt. So you're just gonna cook this for about 3 minutes till it's soft. This is pepper. So what I do usually is, kung saan ko po lulutuin yung condimenti, which is for today, it's mushrooms, doon ko na rin lulutuin yung mismong rice. Kasi I like that the flavor is already in the pot, no? Para hindi sayang yung flavor ng mushroom. So sama-sama na yung lasa niya. You know, my house, usually, mapapansin mo talaga kahit itong bahay po namin dito or our house by the beach, it's always open kitchen. The architect or my interior designer would always know our preference. I really like open kitchens because I love to cook. So pag nagluluto po ako, usually ganito yung scene. At least I can see my guests or my family already in the dining room and waiting for my cooking. So at least hindi ako yung parang nasa loob ng kitchen or tago. So I like it open so that they can see me, we can talk, we can usually have wine while I'm cooking. You know, if my friends are here, they're usually around me while I cook. So yan po yung usually eksena pagka meron pong dinner dito sa bahay namin. Okay, so this looks good already. So I'm gonna set it aside kasi you don't wanna overcook your mushrooms. So again, this is shiitake mushrooms. You can also use fresh mushrooms, oyster mushroom, or whatever mushrooms you like. But ako, personally, I like shiitake. And I also like porcini mushrooms. So, okay, set aside na yan. The second step, which is the soffrito, no? So, this is the soffrito. I'm just gonna put lots of olive oil. And then, I'm gonna combine it with the butter. This is about 2 tablespoons. Okay. Then, we're gonna put the onions. This is chopped onions. Okay. So, if you would notice po, wala siyang garlic. Usually, lahat po ng alam nating isote is always with garlic and onion, but for this dish, for this Italian dish, wala po talagang garlic. It's just olive oil, butter, and diretso onions na. Okay, so we're just gonna cook it until medyo maging translucent yung onions. Okay. So, diretso na tayo, no? Pagka medyo translucent na yung onion mo, be careful not to burn it po. We're already gonna add the rice. Okay, this is about 1.5 cups. Feeling mo konti siya, pero actually, like anything po, no, ang rice umaalsa siya. So medyo later on, you'll be surprised na medyo madami siya. Kita nyo, no? So, covered na siya with the olive oil and the butter. And then, after about a minute, you're already gonna start putting in the ingredients. The first one would be the white wine. Ako po, when I cook, one thing I really want to do is do my mise en place ahead of time. Meaning, fixing all my ingredients ahead, preparing all of them, measuring them ahead. It makes life so much easier, no? Hindi yung kung kailan nagluluto ka na, hahanapin mo each and every ingredient, it's quite hard kasi masusunugan ka talaga. So what I usually do is, I make sure I check each and every ingredient I need. It should be already beside me. Next stop would be, we're gonna start putting in the broth. Usually, you can put about half or 1 cup broth at a time. So, you have to keep mixing it. Usually, di ba ang kanin natin, you just leave it in the rice cooker. But this one, medyo talagang labor of love siya. You have to make bantay. You have to be here. You have to keep stirring and mixing para hindi siya masunog. So, pag well-absorbed na po yung broth, you can put another batch. And then, again, you have to keep stirring it. Okay, so after 18 minutes, no, it's almost cooked. It's al dente. Like how the Italians want their pasta, they also want their risotto to be a bit tough, a bit chewy. So that's called al dente. And that's what we achieved with this risotto. Okay, so remember my first step, the condimenti. I'm gonna start putting it back. Okay. And then I'm gonna put Parmesan cheese. So this gives it flavor. So generous amount of Parmesan cheese. So, okay. This is what makes it flavorful also and creamy. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the mascarpone or the heavy cream. This is the final touch for our risotto. And then mix it. Oh my gosh, ang sarap nito. So I think we're done. The secret to risotto, of course, you have to cook it when you're going to serve it. So kailangan siya, ipapakain mo siya sa guests mo, freshly cooked. So this is how it looks like. It's creamy, it's with a bit of mushrooms right there. And the last touch pala we're gonna put is, of course, to put a bit of flavor and color, I'm gonna put chopped parsley. Okay, so we're gonna plate it now. Usually when I cook, I also use my plates na bagay, no, sa theme. So for today, it's Italian, of course. So I'm gonna use my plates na medyo Italian-inspired. Kasi wala lang. Maarte lang ako. So this is ready. In Italy, they eat this on its own, no? Wala nang ulam. Pero syempre, sa Pilipinas, gusto natin may parang ibang ulam pa. So we make this as the rice, and then we actually match it with fish, or we can match it with steak and lamb. So I think for tonight, we're gonna match this with ribeye steak. Okay, so my mushroom risotto is done. I'm really, really excited to have my kids and my husband, of course, try this again. I haven't cooked it for a while. Thank you again, Gavinos, for sending the ingredients that I need for my mushroom risotto. And what's nice about Gavinos is hindi lang po siya pang baking stuff. Even cooking ingredients you can also find in Gavinos. Always remember, at Gavinos, anyone can bake.